It was a warm Saturday afternoon. The sun was shining. Birds were singing in the trees. Tom felt full of energy. He packed his racket, a bottle of water, and a towel. Then he walked to the park. His friend Ben was already there, waiting near the court. "Ready to lose again?" Ben said with a big grin. Tom laughed. "Not today. I feel lucky." They began to play. Tom served the shuttle. Ben hit it back fast. The sound of the shuttle echoed in the air. They ran, they jumped, they laughed. Their shirts were soaked with sweat. Tom smiled. "It feels good to move," he said. Ben nodded. "Much better than staying home." The game got faster. Tom's feet moved quickly. He jumped, twisted, and smashed the shuttle hard. Then it happened. Tom jumped to hit a high shot. He hit the shuttle. But when he landed, he felt something snap. "Ah!" he shouted. His right arm dropped to his side. Pain shot through his shoulder. He stepped back and sat on the grass. His face turned white. Ben ran over. "What happened?" he asked. Tom held his arm. "I don't know. It hurts. A lot." Ben looked at Tom's arm. "Can you move it?" Tom tried. He winced. "Not really." Ben helped him stand. "Let's stop for today. We should go to the hospital." Tom nodded slowly. They walked to a bench. Tom sat down and leaned back. The pain was deep, like a hot knife inside his shoulder. "I was just having fun," Tom said quietly. "1 second I was flying. The next I was falling." Ben opened a bottle of water and handed it to him. "Sometimes things change fast," he said. Tom gave a small smile. "Too fast." He looked at his racket lying on the ground. A soft wind moved the shuttle across the court. Tom felt something heavy in his chest. Not just pain, but disappointment. He had been training for weeks. There was a company tournament next month. He wanted to join and maybe win. Now that seemed impossible. Ben looked at him and said, "Don't think too much now. Let's take care of your arm first." Tom nodded, but inside he felt lost. As they walked toward the exit, Tom looked at the sky. It was still blue. The trees still moved in the wind. But to him, the world felt different. One jump, one moment. Everything had changed. The hospital smelled like medicine and metal. Tom sat on a cold bench in the waiting area. His arm was still hurting. He tried not to move it. Ben sat beside him. Neither of them spoke for a while. The room was quiet, except for the sound of soft footsteps and a crying baby. A nurse called Tom's name. He stood up slowly. Ben gave him a small nod. "I'll wait here," he said. The doctor was a kind woman with glasses. She asked a few questions. Then she touched Tom's shoulder and arm. He winced with every move. "We'll take an X-ray," she said, "just to be sure." After the scan, Tom waited again. His arm was wrapped in a cloth sling. It felt heavy and strange. The doctor returned with the results. "It's not broken," she said, "but you've torn a muscle. It's a shoulder injury." Tom looked at her. "What does that mean?" "It means no sports for at least 4 weeks. No lifting, no writing, no driving if it hurts. You need rest, ice, and care." Tom blinked. "No writing." "I'm right-handed," he said. The doctor gave a small smile. "Time to make friends with your left hand." Tom walked out of the room with a paper bag of medicine. Ben stood up and asked, "How bad is it?" "No sports, no work, no fun," Tom said flatly. They walked out into the sunlight. But for Tom, the world felt dim. That night, Tom sat on his bed. His arm rested on a pillow. He tried using his phone with his left hand. It was slow and frustrating. He opened the group chat from work. Messages were full of talk about the company badminton tournament. "Tom, you joining this year?" one message asked. Tom didn't reply. He stared at the screen, then turned it off. He lay back and stared at the ceiling. His mind was full of noise. All his plans, all his effort, gone, just like that. He closed his eyes. He didn't want to think, but thoughts kept coming. I worked so hard. I waited for this chance. Why did this happen? The room was quiet. Only the sound of a ticking clock filled the space. Tick, tick, tick. Ben sent a message. Hey, rest well tonight, and you'll be okay. Tom looked at it and smiled a little. Only a little. Then he typed slowly with his left hand. Thanks, just feels like bad luck. Ben replied, luck can change. 3 days passed. Tom stayed at home. He didn't go to work. He didn't go outside. The first day he watched TV. The second day he scrolled his phone. The third day he just stared at the ceiling. His right arm was still in a sling. Simple things became hard. Brushing his teeth, buttoning his shirt, pouring water. Everything felt slow. Everything felt wrong. That evening, Ben came to visit. He brought takeout and a paper bag. Still alive? Ben joked. Tom smiled a little. Barely. They sat on the couch. Ben handed Tom a burger. Tom took it with his left hand. You're learning, Ben said. Tom shrugged. I have no choice. They ate in silence for a moment. Then Ben pulled something from the paper bag. It was a small lottery ticket. What's this? Tom asked. Ben grinned. A gift. From the convenience store. The guy said it's lucky. Tom looked at the ticket. Red numbers. A silver scratch area. I don't believe in luck anymore, he said. Ben leaned back. Yeah, but maybe luck still believes in you. Tom laughed. A soft, tired laugh. Right. The world took my arm, but maybe it will give me a car. Ben smiled. Or at least a free coffee. Tom picked up a coin. Can't even scratch with my right hand. He slowly began to scratch with his left. First number, nothing. Second number, still nothing. He scratched the whole thing. Then placed the ticket on the table. Nope, not a winner. Ben looked at it. Don't worry, that wasn't the real gift. Tom looked up. What do you mean? Ben pointed to the burger. And this, and me. Tom was quiet. Then he nodded. You're right. It's not a win, but it's not a total loss. They finished their food. Ben told a story about a man who broke his leg but met his wife at rehab. Sometimes pain brings people to the right place, he said. Tom smiled. You should write a book. Ben's Big Life Lessons. Only if you buy it, Ben said. Before leaving, Ben looked at the lottery ticket again. You never know. Keep it. Maybe there's a twist. Tom placed the ticket on the fridge door with a magnet. Fine, for good luck. That night, Tom lay in bed. His arm still hurt, but his heart felt a little lighter. Maybe luck was a joke. Maybe it was real. Either way, he felt less alone. 1 week later, Tom was feeling a bit better. His shoulder still hurt, but not as much. He could move his fingers more. He could even hold a spoon with his right hand, just for a second. It was Sunday morning. Rain tapped on the window. Tom sat at the table with a cup of warm tea. He opened his phone. A new week, a new day. Still no job. Still no games. Still no plans. Then he saw a message in the group chat. Someone won the store lottery prize last week. $10,000. No one knows who it is yet. Tom blinked. His eyes went wide. He suddenly remembered the ticket, the one Ben gave him. He stood up too fast. Pain shot through his shoulder. Ow! But he didn't stop. He walked to the fridge. The ticket was still there, held by a small magnet shaped like a tomato. He took it down, looked at it again. Nothing special, just a small red ticket with silver scratches. His hands shook a little. He opened the lottery website, typed in the numbers, clicked check ticket. He waited. 5 seconds. Then, congratulations, you are the winner. Tom stared at the screen. He didn't move, not even a blink. Then he whispered, No way! He read the message again. $10,000. He laughed, then he cried. It didn't even feel real. He called Ben right away. Ben picked up. Yo, what's up? Tom could barely speak. You won't believe this. What? The ticket, the one you gave me. I won 10,000. Silence. Then Ben shouted, What? You're joking. I'm not, it's real. I checked twice. Ben laughed so loud Tom had to hold the phone away. You see? I told you. Maybe luck still believes in you. Tom smiled. A full smile. First real smile in days. Maybe, he said. Maybe luck was just late. He looked at the ticket again. It still didn't look special, but now it meant something. Ben said, We're celebrating tonight. Dinner's on you. Tom laughed. You got it, as long as I don't have to cut the steak. That night, Tom and Ben sat in a small restaurant. The lights were soft. Music played quietly in the background. A little jazz, a little peace. Ben raised his glass of cola. To the champion of bad luck and big luck. Tom smiled and clinked his glass. I'll take that title. They laughed. They ordered burgers and fries again, just like the night with the lottery ticket. But this time everything felt different, lighter, warmer. You know, Ben said, you could buy a new phone or a fancy watch. Tom shook his head. I don't need more stuff. Ben raised an eyebrow. No? Not even a scooter with shiny wheels? Tom chuckled. I've been thinking. Maybe I'll take a short trip. Somewhere quiet. Alone? Ben asked. Yeah, maybe just a few days. Clear my head. Ben nodded. That's fair. You've earned it. They ate in silence for a while. Then Tom looked at Ben. You know what really helped me this week? Ben waited. It wasn't the money. It was your visit. The food. The stupid ticket. You showed up when I didn't ask. You made me laugh when I couldn't even smile. Ben looked down, then smiled slowly. That's what friends do. Tom continued. I didn't just win $10,000. I remembered I'm not alone. Ben raised his glass again, to not being alone. They clinked again. Back home, Tom sat in bed. The window was open. Cool air touched his face. His arm was still in a sling, still sore, still slow. But now he didn't feel stuck. He felt lucky. Not because of the ticket, but because someone cared. He picked up a notebook with his left hand. He began to write. Pain teaches us to slow down. Luck teaches us to look up. But friendship, it teaches us to keep going. He paused, then smiled. Even with one good hand, he could still write something true. Outside, the rain had stopped. The sky was clear. One star blinked above the rooftops. He whispered to himself, Sometimes losing a game is how you win something better.